When watching your favorite crime drama, the detective show, it seems so simple. A crime is committed, an investigative team collects the evidence, that evidence goes to a lab, and with just days, the results come back and the perpetrator is caught. But Julia Janae found that this is far from reality for the victims of sexual assault in East Texas. And she has the story of how pending evidence leaves victims waiting for justice.
For 34-year-old Tana, the memory of how she felt after being sexually assaulted 10 years ago is still all too real.
It's a lot more devastating than dramatic.
It happened at a college campus party.
I was a designated driver. Another designated driver put a roofie into my drink. We walked a little ways down a path. Him and one other attacked me.
With her memory fuzzy, Tana wasn't 100% sure she had been sexually assaulted.
About 3 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I was a virgin at the time, so there was the whole, okay, so something did happen.
Something unimaginable. Tana suffered alone, hiding the pregnancy and a miscarriage.
I didn't want to deal with it. I pushed it aside.
Victims of sexual assault like Tana often end up in this part of the hospital with a sexual assault nurse or SANE like Misty Permenter of Trinity Mother Francis.
Some people come in and initially it happened. They don't know what to do.
It's her job to examine the victim.
We start a swabbing process and, we go from the mouth. Something happened to your neck, we're going to swab your neck. Genitalia, we're going to swab.
Searching for DNA that could point to a suspect. She says the invasive exam can take hours. Then the swabs and samples go into this sexual assault kit.
Once everything is packaged up, we put it in these little envelopes. We label everything.
Once sealed, the evidence is viable for many years, and that's a good thing.
Once we send it to the crime lab, it's not like CSI on TV. It's not going to take 30 seconds to get your results back. It's going to take a little bit of time.
The kit first gets handed over to law enforcement, but the victims often call their nurse.
That's the number one question everybody wants to ask me is how soon will you have my results? Well, I don't know.
It would be impossible for the nurse to know. After the police send the evidence kit out to the crime lab for DNA testing, there is no set time for when the lab has to get those results back to the police or to the state prosecution for a case. The wait time could be months or even years. We requested statistics from several East Texas departments. In the city of Tyler, of the 15 kits sent to the Department of Public Safety lab in 2014, 12 have not been processed. In Longview, 12 are still pending out of 15 kits sent in 2014, and 3 are still pending from 2 years ago. In Lufkin, 2 out of 3 kits are still pending from 2014, and all 6 sent in 2013 for testing have yet to be returned. Longview police officer Christy Bryan says police typically have no control over when the crime lab returns the results.
I'm sure that there's a backlog at the testing facility because only certain places, you can only send them to certain places to be tested.
A backlog that can hold up a criminal case.
I mean, it's certainly better to get that test back to get the DNA results to say, positively, yes, this is who did it. It's just better in court even.
Criminal defense attorney Brett Harrison, who was also a prosecutor for 10 years, says that the wait for answers affects not only the victim.
Really, when you have somebody, for instance, who's in jail, who's accused of a sexual assault, if you are waiting on DNA results, and it could take up to a year for those results to come, which could inculpate him or it could exculpate him.
Harrison often uses a private lab to process DNA in a few weeks, but that comes with a price tag.
Range is anywhere from $1,000 a sample to a little bit more than that per sample.
Sexual assault counselor Brittany Hilbin says that long wait discourages some of her clients from wanting to report their assault.
And often they're like, why bother? That's like a year ahead. They don't want to be still stuck thinking about this and having to deal with it.
I didn't want to report at the beginning.
Tana says she now wishes that she had reported.
I did think about the process a couple of times and it was terrifying.
The wait time, I don't think that should be a factor for the reason why they wouldn't want to file a case. There are other things that we're able to do before it comes back to be able to send to the DA's office too. So that's just one part of an investigation.
An important part that remains on lab shelves while victims wait for a resolution.
I don't know if there's ever a full amount of closure. There's always healing, and finding the steps to healing is a big part of it.
We talked to the Department of Public Safety about the turnaround time for kits in their crime lab in Garland. DPS told us that one DNA analyst can process up to 10 kits a month, and they plan to request additional funding in the current legislative session. Back to you.
Thank you, Julia.